Um, I'm here with Thiha from the Myanmar Steel Association. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Um,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
I was hoping you could give us a quick update on how the Myanmar steel industry has been reacting to coronavirus this year.
Sure. So you know, we're currently undergoing the second wave. So the first wave during the April timeframe was actually quite not too bad for us. There were not too much disruption, but starting 1 month ago, we're entering our second wave, and it's been quite bad. We have about 30,000 cases right now, going up 1,000 cases every day, and we still haven't peaked. So I think that's it's a big issue for now, and basically affecting demand. Given the elections on November 8th, the government. So 2 weeks ago, the lockdown was until 21st October, but last week they said we can reopen. So it's still, in the middle, meaning some companies are opening now, some haven't, but mobility around the city is still quite limited, and intra-city is quite limited. So that's heavily affecting demand. But long story short, up until August, the demand was actually pretty good all year. I think probably same or a little bit higher than last year. But then, since September, it's kind of been flat. So I think net will probably end the year probably same as last year overall. So which is not too bad, I would say, not too bad. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah, in the global context, finishing the year steady is pretty good performance.
Yes.
And how about in 2021? How do you see things developing then?
Yeah, I mean, we've always been quite bullish on the demand here, because if you think about it, we're a large country, 54 million, and we have a lot of requirements for infrastructure build out and for construction build out. So, and if you look at the per capita consumption of our country, it's very low. It's under 50 kg per capita. So there's only one way to go, right? Which is up. We think probably it can easily double within 5-6 years, I would think. But even if that is not exactly correct, you can see the trajectory is quite high. And there's still a lot of pent up demand, meaning there's still projects to be built, and there are projects that are in the pipeline, but they've been delayed from COVID. So I would suspect 2021 will be a strong year, I would guess. But it's subject to the election and subject to the current government winning the election.
That kind of strong underlying outlook for Myanmar's demand has always kind of driven talk about whether more steel should be produced in Myanmar. The Myanmar state-owned projects have been idled for some time, but I wonder if you could give us an update on how those plans are going to restart capacity there.
Sure. So basically, just to backtrack a little bit, so we're a net importing country. So basically, over 90%, I think even close to 95% of our demand is currently imported. So if you go back and think, why is that the case, right? And I think the answer lies in the fact that the import policy, the tax policy, is very, very low. So if you import goods from other countries, especially countries where there's a bilateral trade agreement, the custom duty is 0, right? And if it's from other countries, it's only 3%. So net, if you import, you only pay about 7 to 10% tax, including the VAT, right? The commercial tax makes it very hard for a local production to compete. So our association, the Myanmar Iron and Steel Association, and the government, we've been working hand in hand for 2 years, and we're also been helped by Japan, so JISF, Japan Iron and Steel Federation, and the Japanese government, METI. But basically, we've developed 5 standards for steel this year already. So steel bars, deformed bars, and 4 flat products, mainly hot rolled and cold rolled coil. But currently, it's still a voluntary standard. It's not mandatory. So we're actually currently, even today, I had a call about this. We're trying to see how can we enforce it, So that's one thing we're working on. But until you have a technical barrier or tax regime that supports local production, it will be very hard to have a sustainable long-term production facility here, I would guess, and we're working on changing that, but it's a chicken and egg, right? Meaning you need to have enough production for that product in order to, protect the local market, right?
Mm-hmm. And so at the moment, once that's in place and it becomes viable for local production to increase, do you think that production will be based around the existing idle plants like Mingyang, or will it be around new investments?
Well, I mean, basically, in order for, so I think Myanmar is very important for the country. There's a lot of time, money invested in it. So I think it's basically a parallel to the steel industry here. So if we do have a successful steel industry, I think Myanmar has to be part of it. Myanmar plus other, right? So once discussion we had actually 3 weeks ago, we had a discussion with the Deputy Minister of Planning and Finance here, with CIC, Southeast Asia Iron Steel Institute. But we basically laid out, the issue of oversupply in the region, right? But the point being is that if our demand is only 2.5 million tons, our production should be around there, right? Meaning current plus new. So if you have big factories you allow that are much more than 2.5 million, then there's a supply-demand imbalance, which would throw off everybody, including Myanmar and the new entrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the idea would be to avoid some of these mega projects, 10 million ton a year projects that are popping up around Malaysia, Indonesia, and have something more.
Yeah, I mean, the intent from my side personally is to try to avoid that. But I mean, with the government, as you know, it's always FDI based. So they want to see more and more investment. But if you look at what happened in Malaysia, right? I mean, the new entrant came in, and then last 6 months, everybody's losing money, right? And that's not really sustainable. And you need a few success stories in order to attract more investment.
Mm-hmm. And are there any prospective investors lined up at the moment that you're aware of?
Well, I mean, the recently commissioned factory, it's a pre-painting line from JFE Meranti, as you know. Mm-hmm. And then so that's their phase one. So that was commissioned earlier this year. There's another project. It's an induction furnace by Chinese in Mandalay, in the north. I don't have the latest update, but they received the investment permit, but they're still in construction phase. But I'm not sure what the latest is. But again, it's an induction furnace, and personally, I don't think we should be supporting induction furnaces, given the quality and environmental issues.
Yeah, it's interesting that since they've been banned in China, a lot of them seem to be moving into Southeast Asia.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, besides that, there's a few. I mean, as you know, this Kunming Steel, they've been studying a 4 million ton blast furnace for a few years. I don't know where that's moving, but there haven't been anything new besides these. So I think everybody's kind of waiting to see how the government will provide any policies to support the industry further.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect that to change after the election?
I mean, I think given we're right in the election now, technically we're in the election, right? Because some you can vote now in embassies abroad, so we're in an election. But usually in an election, nothing really drastic happens, right? So you really have to wait for the next term. But I'm still optimistic. I mean, given we want to do import substitution properly, and then given that steel imports are quite, even today, it's significant. It's, for a country our size, we import over 1 billion every year, which is sizable, and it'll go up. I think there'll be more and more focus, but I think right now the government has so many things to do that the association has to kind of pull them towards steel and basically work with them hand in hand.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Thiha.
Okay.